Venetia, you hold one of the leading hopes for the UK for the Gold Cup in L'Homme Presse, a horse that has gone through his own rigmarole the last year. So how satisfied are you with where he is at this stage?
Yeah, I'm very happy with him. Obviously, you know what he's done. You know, he won at Lingfield, and then he was second the other day at Ascot. And I'm very pleased with him. He seems to have taken the races well, which is really important. And yeah, no, I think coming back off a year off, I have to be very happy with him.
Lingfield was obviously quite an emotional day, but it was also a day where we saw the fight in him, the competitive spirit that we saw when he was running a couple of years ago. Was that a real weight off the shoulders, that you just sort of knew that he still had the fight in him after such a big injury?
I don't know. You talk about the fight in him. Yeah, that's never something that one ever doubts. You know, it's more whether it can. He can go back to the races and pick up where he left off. And yeah, I was very pleased with what he did and how he's taken the race and subsequently.
He was a bit ring rusty, Charlie called him that day.
Yeah.
So do you think that it was sort of a means to an end to have another run into him, and Ascot was just a perfect prep to get him to where you want him to be for a Gold Cup?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about the Gold Cup as if, it is the be-all and end-all, which...
Is it not?
Well, I think, it's going to be very, very hard for anybody to win a Gold Cup. And we've still got a smashing horse that we want to be able to campaign him, during the season. We've only obviously got a second half of the season anyway. And yes, the Gold Cup is the holy grail, but, it takes a super horse to win that. And, I hope we'll go there with a chance, but we don't want that to be the be-all and end-all. And we've very pleased with Lingfield. It was a nice race and it was ideal distance and ground. But then, it's quite hard to find the right race at the right time. And the Ascot race, it wasn't ideal, but, you have to take what opportunities you have, and we had a little bit of a stop-start between Lingfield and there, and 2.5 on what was getting towards good ground to 5 round Ascot, probably wasn't his best forte, but it was a very nice race, and very pleased to have been second.
Were you always quite realistic that it might not be him, at his very best because of the optimums and weren't really there for him? Were you quite relaxed about that?
Yeah, I was. Pic d'Orhy is an absolute solid Grade 1 2.5 mile horse, and he's done a lot of his good deeds on goodish ground, Kempton and Aintree, and the ground was getting towards being good on the day, so dropping back in trip, making it more of a speed test, which was increased by the drying ground. Our fellas, yeah, sure, he won over 2.5 as a novice, but those were different days against different opposition, and I know he beat Pic d'Orhy in the Scilly Isles, but at that point, that was 2 years ago, Pic d'Orhy wasn't jumping as well as he is now, and I'm sure Paul and Harry will agree that what he did at the first railway fence, basically, and subsequently there, that wasn't the Pic d'Orhy that's around now. But yeah, no, I'm very pleased with what he did.
You obviously, thinking back a couple of years ago, you had a wonderful Cheltenham, you had the brilliant winners, maybe some surprises, but with L'Homme Presse, he was a horse that was going into it with a lot of expectation on his back. Are your memories of that day one of sort of pressure that you put on yourself then, or were you able to enjoy it? Because Andy said he was very calm.
Yeah, well, no, we didn't have. It was as you said, it was a fantastic Cheltenham. We went there with hopes, of course we did, and particularly obviously with L'Homme Presse, he started favourite, and he did everything that we possibly could have dreamed that he might. But the rest of the team did really well. We had 2 winners, we had 2 seconds, thirds, everything, bar the one that tipped up. finished in the prize money, and it was a fantastic Cheltenham. And if one can get anywhere near that this time, we'll be very happy.
Do you think that knowing how well he's been around Cheltenham, L'Homme Presse, does that give you a bit of confidence in just knowing that he sort of feels like he can get into quite a good rhythm there, and he's done it before, he's unbeaten at Cheltenham for a reason?
Well, hopefully, you know, but this will obviously be far more of a test than any of those, you know, because this is, as you said, this is the pinnacle race. But, you know, we'll go there and we'll have our chance, and hopefully he'll run well.